Hi, my name is Andrew McLaren, and I want to share something interesting that AI struggles with that you can possibly use to AI-proof assignments, maybe for the next year. I think it might be a little bit less, but it could be longer depending on how fast AI develops, right? So it really cannot take visual information and diagrams and process that. If it's typed out as words, it can do that. And it can even take an image with words and work with that pretty good. But it really struggles when you have diagrams that have words and images on it. So this is an assignment that I was reviewing with one of my students. So if you look at the conversation here for question 2, it says the net force requires a diagram, which is not provided. It just says that it's just not providing question two's diagram at all. It is absolutely giving everything that you need for this Q2, which, Q2 is the only thing that's really indicating directly between the sentence and the diagram. But most students that I work with would recognize, oh yeah, that's the diagram for question 2. So it has a little bit of a hard time linking some of the information between these two things. And sometimes it just does the calculation wrong. Like there was a Snell's law calculation on here, and it set up everything right, but then it did something wrong in the calculation. And then question 3, it's asking for a diagram as well. Question 3 absolutely has a diagram right there. So there's some issues that it's having. It did okay on some of these resistor problems, but it had some issues on some other ones. But one thing for those of you who are like physics minded, the Snell's law, it set up this calculation correctly and did like it plugged in everything, and then for some reason it got the wrong sine value here, and so you get the wrong angle. So it set up the math all correct and it still did the math wrong. So there's some bizarre things going on with this, in addition to the difficulty it has with images. But let's go ahead and jump to the next example. So this is there was a diagram, I think I showed it on the first slide right here. This is a pretty typical AP chemistry question where you need to figure out how many products there are, how many things are ion, how many things are just the neutrally charged atom, being a precipitant here. And so there's this question that like it really isn't that hard to do once you have the information, but ChatGPT really struggled with it. So if we go to the reaction representation, it kind of knew what to do, and it had the right idea, but the numbers are wrong. So it's saying in the initial on the left, there are 6 of these aluminum and 10 of the silver. That's the left and the right side of the diagram. So it's counting things incorrectly. So it really, really struggles with getting information visually from here and processing it. The more examples online that see similar things, probably gonna be better. This type of question is, while it's common for the AP exam, I haven't seen a lot of teachers doing questions like this. So it really struggles processing through that. And then another example of this was there's an acid base question where I was asking it a question related to titration here. And it kept on getting the pH estimate, which really is 3. It's like on the dot 3. It kept on saying things like 4.3 and like 3.8. So it's way off. And like it's like inexcusably off. So it's saying like, oh, the pKa is 4.3, which it absolutely is not based off of this question. So I think it may have used like the actual pKa value for this thing, not the things from the diagram. I'm not 100% sure about that. But when I asked it to do it again, it gave me exactly 4.0, which is also off. I mean, if you round it from the 4.3, sure, you could say it's 4.0. But it really has a pKa that's closer to 3, and so I asked it to do it again. And it got closer, but I'm not sure why it gave me 3.3 because it really should be 3.0. It doesn't look like a 0.3 on the graph. And then just to see if it could do it. I think that there was, yeah, I had it try and do it again, and it gave me a different answer that was further off from the correct answer of 3.8. So I know that, not everyone watching this video probably understands pKa, but like you can see that like this right here, when the equivalence point would be 10, the half equivalence would be at 5. So the pH there is 3. It's not 3.3. It's not 4.3. Those would both be incorrect answers if you were to put that on the AP exam. And as a result, because it's got the wrong value here, it ends up misidentifying which is the major species down below. It does it correctly based off of the first step. Like it kind of gets the bigger processes, but it really struggles with the visual element here.